In this video, I want to explore a little bit how to do iOS navigation. So there's three really common iOS navigation types that you're familiar with. The first one is this one. So if I were to tap on Furia 7 right here, then I would see that it pushes in a detail view, and if I can tap back to go back to the previous screen. So you can continue to navigate through a lot of different screens this way. So this is the first type of iOS navigation called push navigation. The second type that you're familiar with is where you have tabs along the bottom, kind of like on Facebook or Twitter. So you can click on different tabs to switch different screens. And the third most common type of iOS navigation is called modal navigation. Modal navigation is kind of like light boxes on the web. So it's the notion that every view controller can present a light box or another view controller and then dismiss that view controller. So the most common use case for that is something like the compose view. So if I were to tweet something or create a new Facebook status, it's going to open up a status form. And so that thing will be modally presented and then modally dismissed. But in this case, I'm going to focus on this first type, which is push navigation. So I'm going to build a second screen here. And that second screen is going to have my detail view. So that detail view I think I had before had an image view, which had the poster. And then it had kind of a black screen right here to make the title and synopsis a little bit more readable. And so I'm going to set the background color of this to be black and then give it a little bit of an alpha. And then I'm going to throw in two labels here. One label for the movie title. So maybe I'll make this title a little bit bigger. So I'll make it bold and I'll pump the font up a little bit. And then I'll create another label here that's for the synopsis. So I'm going to make this 0 line so that it wraps. And I think that's the really basic screen. And so because I want to be able to programmatically set these entities, this title label and the synopsis label, I'm going to need to have outlets and a custom class for this. So I'm going to go to my view controllers group here, do Command N to create another thing. Let's call it movie details view controller. So in this movie details view controller, I want it to be associated with this thing. So I'm going to tap on this view controller, tap on my driver's license icon over here in the top right, and type in movie details view controller. I'll know it worked because if I click this Venn diagram icon right here, then I can create outlets to this movie details view controller class. So I'll do one for the image view here, this kind of background image, and then one for this title label, and then another for this synopsis label. Oops, I accidentally connected it to this thing right here, so I'm going to have to fix that in a second. But for now, I'm just going to create another one, synopsis label. Cool. So here are my three properties that I have configured. And the backing data here is going to be something of type movie. So movie is going to be an NS dictionary, and I'll make it an implicitly unwrapped optional. So this is what I want to have if I can only get somehow this movies view controller to set up this movie details view controller properly. Now, remember when I accidentally connected that label to title label? Let's see if that actually caused any problems here. So I'm going to tap on the view controller here, and I'm going to tap on this far right icon. This is called the connections pane. So I can see here that yep, actually all my labels look correct. Image, view, synopsis label, and title label. So I'm actually good here. So the next step is I'm going to take this cell, and I want to say when I tap on this cell, push this screen. So in order to do that, I'm going to select the cell right here, and then I'm going to control drag from that cell to this screen, which again means that I want to when I tap on the cell to do this transition. So remember how I said there was three types of iOS navigation? We're going to be focusing on the push type right now. So let's see what happens if I just run it as is. If I run it as is, I should see a list of movies here with their posters. And if I tap on Furious 7, then I'm going to notice that it crashes. And let's see exactly what the crash is. So it says push segues can only be used when the source controller is managed by an instance of UI navigation controller. So what it's asking me to do is go back to my storyboard, click on this view controller here, and then click on editor, embed in navigation controller. So I see a couple odd things here, and let's kind of discuss what they mean. So the first thing is I had this totally other screen come in here. And then I also got this bar at the top. Now you can double click in the middle of this bar and type stuff in here. In code, you can actually replace this middle section with a custom view too, so whatever you like. And if I were to run this again, then I will notice a few changes. One is that this movies view controller thing now has this tab, this navigation bar at the very top. And if I tap on Furious 7, then I can see that it pushes in this other table, this other view controller. Now I see some things that I don't like here. One is you see how this table view is continuing to highlight whatever thing I selected, so I want to fix that. And I also want to obviously put in the correct movie here. So the analogy for this screen here is, let's take Chrome here. And if I were to go to, say, CNN in Chrome. So if you look at a browser, let me open up a new tab. So in this new tab, what is a browser? A browser has this address area. It also has this back button. And then it has this section in the middle where the web page is eventually going to go. So once I go to CNN, this middle section is filled with the page, but then I have this chroming on the outside too. Let's say that I were to tap on this SpaceX rocket story. I can see that it navigates, it replaces this middle section with another screen. And then of course in my back tab here, I'm gonna build up a history. So you see this Chrome here. If I were to go back here, this navigation controller is kind of like my browser, right? And just like my browser had some chroming around it, that top area, the navigation bar and the title and the back button and so forth, so does mine. Now this view controller is a screen that can go into this just like the CNN page. And then I can, from then on out, stack in actually any number of view controllers here, right? And this doesn't have to be a straight line. It can be such that if I tap on the poster, maybe I go to a different screen. But this navigation controller is the thing that contains the history of all of your navigation. So the next thing that I want to do is I want to set this title, synopsis, and image based on the thing that I tapped. So if I go to Movies View Controller, I notice that there's this commented out method. So if I uncomment this out, and then let's just add a print statement in here. So println about to segue. So this function is called right after you click on the cell, but right before you switch to the next screen. That gives you an opportunity to set up that next screen any way you like. So one trick is there's a sender, and the sender is a generic word in iOS that means the thing that fired the event. So in our case, the thing that fired the event is the cell. So I can downcast this and create this cell, sender as UI table view cell. And the reason this is important is because I need to figure out somehow which row is selected so that I can set up the movie detail view controller with the right movie. Luckily, the table view can tell me what the index path is based on the cell. So if I just type in index path for cell, then this thing will be equal to this NS index path type. And I can use that to get the movie. So for example, I could create a variable here called movie equals to movies index path dot row. Now next, I need to somehow get a handle to that incoming view controller. So the segue, that's its job, right? So segue is the thing that has the movie details view controller. So segue has the destination view controller. It's already created the movie details view controller for me. I just need to cast it so that I can access the public properties. So as movie details view controller. So right now I can access details view controller is dot movie is equal to movie. So at this point, if I were to go into my view.load, which is kind of like my document ready function, I can say, okay, well, title label is equal to movie title synopsis label dot text is equal to, this is dot text here as well, synopsis. So let's run that and see what happens. Oops, I need to cast this as string, so give it a try as string. All right, let's run this. Oops, one more error. Yeah. So if I tap on Furious 7, then I see that it halfway works. I got the synopsis. I didn't get my title quite set properly. If I hit home, then I get the home synopsis. So let's fix that title issue. So title label dot text is equal to movie title as string, and synopsis label dot text equal to movie synopsis as string. So let me just print out the title real quick. Println title. This will be our first test just to see if there is something in there. So the next possibility is that title label is somehow incorrect. So I do get the title correct, and so it's this title label outlet. Something's weird with it. So if I go back to my my storyboard and then click on my movie details view controller, let's double check this outlet. So you see how this title label is actually connected to this synopsis label. So that's the problem. So I'm going to kill this connection here and then reconnect it up to the proper title label. If I run this, then that problem hopefully will be fixed. And I just need to set the image view now. So I can do it the same way that I did in the movies view controller. So I'll grab these two lines, and I'll keep it to the thumbnail for now, although we'll want to replace it eventually with the high resolution image. So image view dot set image with URL. Now the final touch is, you see how this thing is highlighted? I don't really like that effect. So we're going to leverage the table view event. So table views actually tell us when rows are selected. So if I look at this did select row at index path, then this method is called once the selection happens. And it's very common here to, once the selection happens, call the deselect row at index path method that says, okay, I get it. I acknowledge the selection, and now you can feel free to deselect it if you want. So now if I tap on one of these items, I look back, I can see that the cell has now been deselected. So that's basic iOS push navigation